All right, chat, we're back. More casual gaming news on a Friday, because it's Friday. I'm pretty happy about how consistent we've been. Luckily, it's been pretty nice. I hope you guys enjoy it too. But we got a bunch of stuff to go over. Big news, small news, chat picks as usual, and a possible dev dub. Let's start off with stuff. Not really too many things for PlayStation, but we got a little bit of Nintendo news going on. This was a chat pick that we moved to the big news just because it's fairly big. This is Tom Phillips, IGN. Nintendo confirms Switch One global availability after announcing European withdrawal. So we talked last week about how because of the battery thing, the battery laws that they're passing in Europe, where anything that has a rechargeable battery has to be easily replaceable. So they're making a whole new Switch 2 for that, and they're not going to make a new Switch 1 for that. So they decided to just stop selling Switch 1s over there. But they are confirming that Switch 1 will be still sold around the rest of the world. Probably because they just want to make as much money as possible because of Nintendo. In a fresh statement to IGN this morning, Nintendo confirmed that it currently planned to continue Switch 1 sales elsewhere, such as North America and in the company's homeland of Japan, regardless of the situation in Europe. Quote, "We plan to continue selling Nintendo Switch outside of regions where Nintendo of Europe conducts business." Yesterday, Nintendo of Europe statement indicated that customers would have no issue purchasing Switch 1 throughout 2026. So they're fine. So they're still going to sell Switches because they're definitely not going to make a new version of the Switch 1 with easily replaceable batteries. So that makes a lot of sense. So far, that line of consoles is not dead. Next up, let's go through a bunch of aftermath Xbox cut things. Talking about id Software first. Andy Robinson, VGC. id Software plays down impact of layoffs, insists it still has enough staff to make games and tech. They said, we talked about last week, they said it was basically a shell of a company down to like support staff size. In its first public response since news broke that around 100 workers have lost their jobs, the Doom and Quake developer claimed that its remaining team is about the same size as when it shipped Doom 2016. I don't know if that's a good thing. Thank you for all the support this week. It wrote, while our studio was impacted, those changes were spread across teams. We still have the crew we need to build the games and tech we're known for. The team today is about the same size we were when making Doom 2016. We have always had a flat studio where everyone is a maker, and we will remain true to that philosophy moving forward. We are focused on supporting each other and the team members impacted. We're going to keep building the great games and tech that have defined us for the past 35 years, and we're looking forward to seeing you at QuakeCon in August. Interesting that they add QuakeCon at the end of that. But, I mean, games being made 10 years ago are clearly not the same as games being made today. Most games require more people now for big games. So saying that, hey, we have the same size team of a game that was made 10 years ago is like saying when Doom in 2016 say, hey, we have the same size team that made, I don't know, Super Mario on the NES. Like there's not enough people, you know. We'll see what they come up with. Because that's and again the QuakeCon thing at the end. Hey, come back to QuakeCon. Don't forget about QuakeCon. QuakeCon, guys. Let's talk about the Obsidian director being a little upset. A little angry. Is Chris Scullion VGC? Obsidian director criticizes cold take artists spreading misinformation about the studio's legacy. Last week, it was reported that Obsidian is one of the studios affected by Xbox's major reset, which involves laying off thousands of workers across all its departments and refocusing on its biggest franchises. According to a WARN notice in California, Obsidian, which was acquired by Microsoft 2018, is losing 52 workers, including 43 based in California. Obsidian veteran Brandon Adler, who joined the studio 20 years ago and is currently game director on an as yet unannounced title, paid respect to colleagues losing their jobs, saying, "This has been an extremely difficult week at Obsidian. Not only have I had to say goodbye to some amazing game developers, but I've had to say goodbye to some of my best friends. I truly feel for every one of them. Know that if you're looking to hire one of these former Obsidian devs, you're hiring some of the best people around, both professionally and personally." Game director for Outer Worlds 2, that's what he was working on, and for Avowed. Another difficult aspect is having to see a bunch of cold take artists coming out of the woodwork to talk about what Obsidian is or what it isn't. The number of times I've seen people with no understanding of who has worked on our previous games or what they contributed talk about how Obsidian isn't who they used to be is staggering. Most of the time, they are not just wrong, but spreading enormous amounts of misinformation. In most circumstances, the people in lead or director roles are the same people that worked on games like The Outer Worlds, Pillars of Eternity, and New Vegas. Like, literally the same people. The through line from Knights of the Old Republic 2 to our current games is pretty clear. Is Obsidian the same as it was 20 years ago? No, of course not. Nothing stays the same. But the DNA at Obsidian is the same as it always was. The same DNA that created Knights of the Old Republic, New Vegas, Neverwinter Nights 2, and Stick of Truth. I'm extremely proud of our history, and I'm also excited for who we have become. Just remember, when you are seeing people spouting off about Obsidian, running their mouths about who we are now versus what we were then, you are listening to someone crow about something with zero insight into how a game is made and who contributed to our previous games. Dang, he's angry, and he has reason to be. Right? Fuck those people that don't know what they're talking about. He's setting the record straight. It still sucks that a lot of people lost their jobs, though. That really is awful. Going over to Compulsion Games. Chris Cullen, VGC. Xbox studio Compulsion Games invites partners to collaborate with it after going independent. Compulsion, which was acquired in 2018, blah, 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 blah. Deal also enabled the studio to retain the rights to its previous IPs, Contrast, We Happy Few, and South of Midnight, the latter of which won a number of awards. The developer has posted a message on its LinkedIn page reaching out to other studios offering collaborative work on any projects they may need a partner for. Quoted saying, with Compulsion Games returning to its roots as an independent developer, we are expanding opportunities to collaborate with studios across the games and entertainment industry. We invite partners to leverage the talent and creativity of the award-winning team behind South of Midnight, a game that was honored with a BAFTA Award, a Peabody Award, and 7 Canadian Game Awards, and recognized on multiple Best Games of 2025 lists. With deep experience in creating acclaimed original IP, we bring our artistry, technical expertise, and collaborative approach to every project. We are excited to support the development of memorable experiences that engage and entertain players around the world. So they're looking for work. Anyone that needs a high-end indie studio for some work, they're offering up their team, which yes, they should be. Hopefully they get something going. I would be surprised if they get left out to dry, to be honest. Next up, ESO update. Chris Scully and VGC. Laid off Elder Scrolls Online dev says players won't get new content at anything approaching the previous rate. Senior encounter designer Morgan Goyne was one of the employees laid off, and she's now told the BBC that she and her colleagues were blindsided by the news that they were losing their jobs. She told the publication that the cuts have led to huge reductions in the number of staff in specific departments, with some disciplines now reduced to a quarter size of what they were before. As a result of this, she warns that players of The Elder Scrolls Online can expect content updates to come at a significantly slower pace going forward. We're not going to be able to put out the amount of content at the speed that we were, or anything approaching that. And the roadmap is shifting. So, I mean, that's not surprising at all. It's good to hear someone saying it out loud, right? I'm pretty confident that we'll see a id kind of response from them saying, no, we're fine. We're still going to be good moving forward. Like an official statement. It sucks. It all sucks. Next up, Ubisoft Barcelona on strike. Chris calling BGC. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced studio Ubisoft Barcelona strikes to protest 51 staff being laid off. Corporate greed theme like Assassin's Creed is pretty funny. Studio recently finished work on Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, and according to tech and gameplay animator Manel Kota on Twitter, the Barcelona team did all the underwater levels for the gameplay adding, and that the same team is being fired right now because Ubisoft thinks that that's what we deserve. That's so awful. Proposed layoffs come right after the release. Sold 2 million copies on the first day. They were actually reported a month ago. And a statement from Ubisoft: we are aware of the strike action announced at Ubisoft Barcelona and respect employees' rights to express their views. Ubisoft has initiated a proposed restructuring of Ubisoft Barcelona as part of a broader effort to reduce costs and focus resources on strategic priorities. Under this proposal, the studio would focus solely on Rainbow Six projects, which may impact up to 51 employees. So they're not beating around the bush. They're like, yeah, this is what we're doing. Like they're gone. That's so awful. As part of the 3-day strike, Ubisoft Barcelona workers are demanding cancellation of the jobs, stronger job security guarantees, return of the studio's previous remote working policy, which allowed up to 60% remote working. That's awesome. Promotions and salary increases that they say were previously promised. Yeah, they should get all of those. It's gonna be tough. That's a long uphill battle for all of that, but hopefully they find some success there. Let's get a little update on GTA 6. Just calling VGC again. GTA 6 console-only launch isn't anti-PC, but a case of resource management, ex-Rockstar producer says. Interview with Kiwi Talks podcast John Riccio, who was a producer on Red Dead Redemption, Max Payne 3, and Grand Theft Auto 5, was asked about whether making GTA 5 for Xbox 360 and PS3 hardware led to Rockstar being limited in what it could do with the game. Replied that Rockstar's policy is to concentrate on the console versions first, because then the hardware's limitations are known to the developers, and then worry about the PC making a PC version later, as opposed to making the PC version first and then trying to figure out how to get it working on potentially less powerful hardware, which makes sense. That I don't know how many people thought that it coming to console only first was like, oh, they don't want it on PC. No, that's not the case at all. There's no way, if they made it for PC first, there's no way that game like that would work on the consoles, honestly. I don't think there's any way. So that makes a lot of sense. It's not surprising at all. Next up, let's talk about the European Union saying, yeah, you can go ahead with the purchase of EA to Saudi Arabia. Boo. 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 Tomato, tomato. Dave Aubrey, VGC. European Union set to approve Saudi PIF acquisition of Electronic Arts, according to a report. Courtesy of Reuters, the $1 trillion public investment fund announced the deal alongside Jared Kushner's affinity partners and private equity from Silver Lake in September 2025. The deal values a 93.4% stake in EA at 55 billion American dollars. The shareholders approved the acquisition in December of last year, made multiple investments in the video game industry, but now the European Union says, yeah, it's approved. And what do we say to that? Boo. 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 This doesn't bode well at all. At all. Next, let's talk about the big Bethesda update that happened today. This is from Bethesda directly. Big update. From the studios. There's a lot in here. The TLDR is what they're going to be focusing on. They're still going to do some Starfield stuff, but they're also in pre-production for the next Fallout game, which is set to come out after the next Elder Scrolls game. They said that they're going to be working on Fallout 3 and New Vegas remakes or remasters, one of those, as well as, and we knew this already from like the Xbox news, that Obsidian is going to be working on another mainline, well, not numbered Fallout game. So like I would assume similar to New Vegas, which is what they did last time. So they're working on a lot of stuff. How much of this is feasible in the near future? Probably none of it, because Elder Scrolls, the next Elder Scrolls probably doesn't come out for another like 3 years, if that. So then the next Fallout game. So we're looking at maybe 10 years until the next Fallout game, until Fallout 5. So maybe 10 years. Hopefully we get those remakes and Obsidian game before that. Hopefully we get a Fallout 3 remake or remaster next year. That would be sick. But yeah, huge update from Bethesda. You can see, you can kind of feel the Xbox Microsoft in the shadows there of this post here. Next up, God of War Studio confirms Layoff will have a disc version. Andy Robinson, VGC. We're in the small news section now. God of War Studio confirms Layoff will have a disc. So that's the story. There will be a disc version of Layoff because it is coming out next year, because I think they said 2028 they're stopping the discs. So there will be a disc version of the game. Cool. Maybe there'll be an awesome like collector's edition. If it's a big cube, I might get it. I have literally the Mjolnir right under my desk here from Ragnarok. If they release a big cube, that'd be pretty funny. I might get that as a collector's edition. Gelatinous cube, yeah. Next up, apparently every single Japanese mobile game uses generative AI, according to this report. Chris Cullen, VGC. New survey claims 100% of Japanese online game developers use generative AI tools. So it's not even mobile games, it's all online games. Wow. The Japan Online Game Association has been conducting surveys with online game developers since 2004. It's now published its 22nd annual report for the Online Game Market Research Report. Stresses that this report relates to only domestic Japanese games that are played via the internet regardless of device. According to the coverage of the report, 100% of online game companies surveyed said they use generative AI tools. The most frequently used of these tools is Google's Gemini, which 94% of respondents said that their company uses. Claude and GitHub Copilot. That's so gross. When asked which tasks each company generally delegated to generative AI tools, the most common response were analyzing user preferences and predicting user behavior. Interesting. As well as the companies making games, the survey also questioned a number of users who played them. They too were asked about the use of generative AI in making games they play. A number of respondents said they were concerned that games infringing on copyright were more likely to appear in the future, and that it seemed likely that all games in the future would be similar to each other. Yeah. So that's kind of gross. Google is like, AI use is widespread, but studios don't always disclose it. Yeah, that makes sense. This is gross. Hopefully this stops. This is gross. Next up on small news, the Duskbloods announced a network test, I think next month or later this month. When is it? Next month. August 21st and 24th. Players eager to go hands-on with the game during the network test can apply starting on the 22nd on Nintendo Switch Online subscription. So yeah, if you have a Switch 2 and you want to do a network test of Duskbloods, go for it. Happening next month. Awesome. It's Dave Aubrey VGC, by the way. Oh, I should have did this before, but going back to God of War, huge news from the live action show that's being made. After, I think, half a season or some shit was filmed, the dude playing Kratos, Ryan Hurst, got like seriously injured. He tore his pectoral muscle so bad that it requires surgery. So now because of that, they don't want to wait that long for him to recover. So they're going to recast him, which is insane. Like half a season shot and they're going to completely recast Kratos. That really sucks for this dude, because that's an awesome role to have gotten, and now because he got injured, he loses out on the part. And it's also crazy because then the kid, right? The kid's not getting any younger. The kid's only going to be growing quick. So you might see some shots where this kid's like tiny, and then all of a sudden he's 6 feet tall. It would also suck. Hopefully they don't recast the kid, because that would suck too. It's not his fault. It was actually nobody's fault. I mean, it was an accident, right? So that sucks. It was during a stunt. I mean, it would be cool. I guess they don't have enough, and like he physically can't do enough that they can do like a stunt double type situation and just use him in like still shots. I guess it's that serious where he can't even like be on camera, which is awful. That's so awful. So look for this to come out in 2 years. The first season of this that already started filming like a year ago. Next up, apparently GameStop doesn't care about games anymore, by the way. GameStop does not care about physical games. This is Dave Aubrey VGC. Sony killing physical games doesn't matter at all, says GameStop CEO. Cohen gave the quote in an interview with Bloomberg, saying Sony's all-digital move is totally irrelevant. Software, it mattered in the past. Software today makes up less than 12% of the business, and collectibles makes up over half the business. So it's totally irrelevant. While this may sound like an unusual sentiment coming from the CEO of a retail store known for video games, as the Bloomberg article highlights, software sales only account for 18% of GameStop's business. Collectibles like Pokemon trading cards have become a much larger chunk of the business, accounting for 41% of the sales. This is a large change to what was once the main driver of sales, which was buying and reselling physical games. I mean, it's GameStop. They're going to be just a collectible store, like a chain, like a retail chain collectible store, which is what they've turned to do. I mean, it's not surprising that the CEO of GameStop is saying this. I don't think they've cared about games for a long time. They don't care about much, honestly, especially their workers. Like GameStop is a real shitty company. It's like a real shitty company. So it sucks. It really sucks. And they suck. That's it. Next up, mobile Final Fantasy 14 is being shut down after being live for like a year or so or something like that. Dave Aubrey VGC. Final Fantasy 14 mobile's global launch has been canceled. Game launched in China in June 2025, and is now being shut down at the end of September. And there's the full announcement. It's a lot. But before it's even released anywhere else, it's already shut down. Less than a year. That's crazy. I guess they just wasn't doing enough at all. So if you were playing this or hoping to play this, nope. No, you're not. Not anymore. And a little bit of the opposite of that. Confirmation that the KOTOR remake is still happening so far. This is Connor McCarr, Eurogamer. Star Wars KOTOR remake is alive and eyeing a 2028 release window, according to Saber Interactive's chief business officer. So that's awesome. 2021. Oh my god, it's been that long. It's crazy. But yeah, that's awesome. Really want to play this game. Cannot wait for this to come out. I will buy the Super Collector's Edition for whatever it is. I don't care. I don't care how much it is. I'll buy it. Whatever. Next up, we'll do the chat pick, and then we'll do the dev dub. Blend on the dev dub. Chat pick, you can now buy a life-size animatronic Freddy Fazbender for less than the price of a PS5. This is Josh Colson, the gamer. It's a little fun chat pick. I think it's in Spirit Halloween. The link to the post, the social post, is like privatized. Let me see if I can pull it back up. It's apparently $500 for this thing, so that's kind of nuts. I mean, that's not a bad deal. Not gonna lie, it's not a bad deal. It must be terrifying. You can terrify some kids with this. That's awesome. It's a little fun chat pick. And then to end, kind of a short news day, which is great. A slight dev dub on here. This is Chris calling VGC. And in a world bleak with layoffs and studio closures, Koei Tecmo CEO says it grew from 2,500 staff to over 3,000 in 2 years and is aiming for 5,000. So they're trying to hire more people. They're trying to expand. That's cool. Hopefully not too fast. In an interview with Famitsu, Hisashi Koinuma was asked about his previously declared aim to become the world's #1 digital entertainment company. That's a big declaration. Explained that the aim was to have the highest operating profit in the games industry, with the first plan being to reach the top 10 by 2035, which can only be achieved when customers buy a lot of games. In 2024, he told shareholders that he had around 2,500 staff and wanted to double that in the future. According to Koinuma, the number has now passed 3,000, saying we are currently expanding our workforce to increase the number of development lines. Last year, our group-wide headcount grew to just over 2,850. This year, with 193 new graduates joining us in Japan alone, our total headcount is reached approximately 3,000. Looking ahead, we hope to continue expanding steadily towards a workforce of 5,000. At the same time, we are working to improve the quality of our workforce through in-house training. We currently have 6 brands and 1 studio and are establishing a system that lets us consistently release new titles from each of them. The brands they refer to are Omega Force, which works on Dynasty Warriors, Team Ninja, which is Ninja Gaiden Dead or Alive, Gust, Atelier, Nobunaga's Ambition, Midas, smartphone titles, Ruby Party. They released Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment. There you go. That's the big one. But yeah, that rules. I think they also had some support work on Pokemon Pokopia. So that's awesome. Yes, a dev dub. They're expanding. They're doing good. They're not laying people off. They're not in risk of closing. They're expanding, and I love this. This is a great story. More people pay attention to this team. GG's to them. But that is it for this week's news. We did it pretty sufficiently. I hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you all for hanging out during news stream in the chat. Thank you all for watching the VOD later on. This was a great time. Let's do this again next week, chat. I appreciate you. Check out the links. We had news and a short go up this week. We're going to try to be more consistent with that. And maybe add even a little bit more. We're trying. We're doing our best. But that's going to be it for me for this week for news. And we'll be back next week.